What is your path to Dharma? All right. Well, welcome back to Path to Dharma. We're here
Well,
again, study with the Srimad Bhagavatam. We had the last two chapters of Canto 2 Part 3. I can't believe it. It feels like such a big deal when we finish a book. I'm so ready. What's our announcements? What have we been up to? How are we doing?
let's see. It's been a pretty eventful slash quiet week in the sense of energetically, spiritually, a lot's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I have been trying to center myself and really quiet down. And it's
Ah,
just this conversation between Kapila and Devahuti has just been in my mind, just nonstop.
yeah.
I just love it so much. And I feel like I'm Devahuti in some ways because I am older and my children are adults mainly. I mean, obviously your brother's 15, but
Yeah.
I can see this where she goes to him and it's like the duties of my younger self are done. The mother. No, of course I'm your mother still. I don't mean it
Right.
like that. But in the
Right.
sense of I've given birth, I've done all the things, now it's like kind of in the way of the sages, you start to turn to the divine as you start to get in age. That you're like, well,
Yeah.
I might be halfway through or whatever. And how about what Swami Sarva Priyananda said the other day about, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
you're halfway through, but actually, it seems like you're 80% through. I was like, hey, don't say that, Swami.
Right.
Um, which we went to see Swami Sarva Priyananda. I we're gonna
So
talk about
good.
that. We're gonna talk about that. Anyway,
So
back to
good.
what I was saying about just sitting at the feet of Kapila and being like, now what do I do? Like I did all the
Yeah.
things to be happy. Nothing worked. Tell me what to do. Tell me, Divine Lord, tell me. And he
How do you
does.
and how do you do this? How do you walk the spiritual path? What does it look like?
He even says, and he says what to do, and he says what to avoid, and don't do this, and watch your thoughts and pay attention to who you hang around with. You can't totally avoid the world. You
Here's
have
what
to live in
happens.
it.
Here's what happens when you don't do it the right way. You go to
Yep.
hell.
You get drugged down by your
Yeah.
attachments and you mistake in your ignorance that everything is yours
Yeah.
and you focus your whole life on it. And no doubt we've all focused lifetimes on acquiring items, money, wealth, whatever,
Fame. Yeah.
all the things. But he explains how that's not it. That's not what you do.
I also loved
Um,
something that Swami Sarva Priyananda said was, it's not the way to run away from the world in the same way that it's not the way to plunge yourself into the materialism of the world.
ugh,
That's something that's been really centering to me because
okay.
sometimes I can like spiritually bypass things,
Mm,
which I think is a bit of turning away from the world. And at times I can also indulge in the materialism of the world, and that also isn't the way. So really finding that center is is key. I think we're hearing that from Kapila. I think we're hearing that from the lecture we went to from Swami. And that's what we've heard in the Srimad Bhagavatam that thus far from multiple different avatars actually is to like stay in center. I've heard that from
yeah.
Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, that I am the
Yep.
same in pleasure and pain alike.
Yep.
So yeah, that's where my mind is this week is like how can I stay centered in the middle of all of everything and how can I just like stay the same in happiness and in
Yeah.
sadness, in pain and in pleasure. How can I really stay grounded in the root of my pure spirit soul?
It's just that you have to feel the human feelings as a human. You're here to
Yeah.
play that human game. So it's one thing to say all that. I get that concept. And there's my higher self has no problem doing that.
Yeah.
My Shannon avatar here struggles with the feels. It's like,
Well,
oh, I got to feel all the things like the fear, the pain, the
mm,
grief, the
yeah.
sadness, the betrayal, the loss. I get all the good stuff too. But it's a lot at times, yeah?
I was listening to this thing about kids, and it was saying that, like, kids, like, nothing like sticks to them. They don't get like
Yeah.
that emotional baggage because they do just feel the feeling. If they feel like crying, they're wailing. If they
Yeah.
feel hurt, they're wailing. If they feel happy, they're wailing. Like they just do the feeling. They let it just manifest and ride the wave. And then it's like, oh, they're just like on to the next thing and it's like nothing. So I think that children have a lot to teach us as far as that goes of like, yeah, you do. Yeah, stay centered, but also if you're feeling fear, let it
Yeah.
feel it and let it
Yes.
flow.
Yes. Don't run away from it.
Don't run away from it. Same thing with
Yeah.
happiness. Same thing with jealousy,
It's true.
envy, whatever. It's like, oh, I was just feeling really envious just now. What was
It's a
that?
yeah.
That's
And it's
interesting.
not and that's what Swami taught us about. He told this story about Lord Ram and how he never had the smile, never did the smile leave his face.
Yeah,
Even when he was banished to the forest for 14 years,
yeah,
even when he thought he had the whole kingdom and he didn't. And he said that Ram wanted to go off into the Himalayas anyway, but was willing to be the king. And, obviously that was his dharma to do all of that.
mm-hmm,
So I feel like part of the message was you do have times in your lives where you are able to ground in and settle down and you have time to think and contemplate. Some of it does come in old age, obviously. And even when you're not at that stage in life, it's still available to you.
mm-hmm,
You still have that available as long as you
mm-hmm,
know about it, if that
right,
makes sense. If you
mm-hmm,
know that that piece is there for you, even if it's just I logically know it, I can go to it, you know?
right,
And that's part of what Kapila is teaching me, and that's kind of what I think Swami was telling us. He said so many things. It was
so
pretty
many
amazing.
things,
So many things. But that story about Lord
so
Ram
many.
just accepting everything as it was and just being willing to do what he was asked without
Right,
question
yep,
and without the jealousy and without the fear and the pain. And that's the whole thing. That's what we do. We'll do the thing. We get forced by the universe sometimes. But as a human, you carry those emotions with you as it's going along. And that is the suffering just of attachment. And that's
right.
quite a clear message.
Well, let's see what the Srimad Bhagavatam has for us tonight. Take a deep breath.
Yes.
Let's obeys and see.
Let's do it.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one must first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. In loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact.
It feels nice tonight to hear that. I mean, a lot of
Mhm.
times I'm like, woo woo, or whatever. But tonight I just feel like so grateful.
Super,
So
super,
grateful.
super
Okay, here we are.
grateful.
Srimad Bhagavatam,
Chapter
third
32.
canto, chapter 33, I thought.
Oh, is it 33? No, I
No,
think
maybe
it's
no, it's
32.
32. It's 32. It's 32. Trying to skip
In
ahead. Trying to skip ahead.
entanglement in fruitive activities.
Yes. And we already introed this.
Yes, we did.
Text one. Let's just begin.
Go.
The personality of Godhead said, the person who lives in the center of household life derives material benefits by performing religious rituals, and thereby he fulfills his desire for economic development and sense gratification. And again and again, he acts the same way. Yes, your game character. You go to work, you do the things,
Eat
all the
breakfast.
rituals, all the
Yeah.
duties. Yep.
Such a birth, such a Such persons are ever bereft of devotional service due to being too attached to sense gratification, and therefore, although they perform various kinds of sacrifices and take great vows to satisfy the demigods and forefathers, they are not interested in Krishna consciousness, devotional service. So even though this is what Swami was telling us too, when he said there's a difference between knowing and there's a difference between understanding, and again, there's a difference between that feeling of like seeing I am God and everything else is God too.
Yeah, I loved what he was talking about when he was saying about first you do it even if you don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just follow along and do what you're supposed to do, then you do end up getting something out of that, even if you're not sure. And it reminded me of even just singing mantras and saying mantras. And I don't exactly know what words we're saying, but the energy and the vibration of saying the mantra,
Yeah.
you do that first. And then
Mm.
you can learn what you're saying. That's kind of what
Right.
that's kind of what he was saying in that same sense
Yeah.
of what we're hearing here. Such materialistic persons attracted by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods can be elevated to the moon where they drink an extract of the soma plant. They again return to this planet. Okay. Oh, wait, hold the phone on this whole drinking something on the moon and coming back to Earth. Okay. Because, first of all, is there a base on the moon? I hear there's an alien base on the moon. Okay, number one. Secondly, that's beside the point. There's a
Maybe
metaphysical,
they're giving soma plant
yeah,
juice.
maybe. There's a metaphysical base on the moon, apparently, where we go up and we're drinking some type of low potion. There's
Well, and
like a
the Gita tells us
water
that too.
potion. Like what's with
The
that?
Gita tells us that too. I don't remember what chapter it is when they talk about the two paths going either to the sun or to the moon.
Yes, yes, yes,
And whenever
yes.
you go to the moon, you're reincarnated back on Earth.
Yes.
So
There's a lot of
apparently
conspiracies
something
about
with
the
them.
moon being placed exactly where it is on Earth or in the sky. A lot of
It's all
conspiracy
magical up
theories.
there.
I
It's
want
all
to like
magical up
really
there.
believe in all that. But,
Yeah.
sometimes, who knows what reality we're in. So it's hard to say what's real.
Text 4.
Okay. 6-4. Sorry, everyone, for the
All
sidebar.
the, all the planets of the materialistic persons, including all the heavenly planets such as the moon, are vanquished when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, goes to his bed of serpents, which is known as Ananta Sesa.
Those who are intelligent and are pure of purified consciousness are completely satisfied in Krishna consciousness. Freed from the modes of material nature, they do not act for sense gratification. Rather, since they are situated in their own occupational duties, they act as one is
Mm,
expected to act.
okay. By
Right.
executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment and without a sense of proprietorship or false egoism, one is posted in one's constitutional position by dint of complete purification of consciousness. And by thus executing so-called material duties, he can easily enter into the kingdom of God. So someone's doing their
Okay.
occupational duties, they're acting without attachment,
Right.
without a sense of this is mine.
It's that thing Krishna talks about doing without doing.
Right,
You
they're
you're
on
you're
their path.
acting, but you're taking no act.
Right, right.
You're
They're on
making
their
no
path
action.
to Dharma.
Yes.
They're they're completely purified consciousness. They're also executing their material duties. They're entering easily into the heaven of God. Okay.
Through the path of illumination, such liberated persons approach the complete personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds, and is the supreme cause of their manifestation and dissolution.
Worshippers of the Hiranyagarbha expansion of the personality of Godhead remain within this material world until the end of two Paradas, when Lord Brahma also dies.
After experiencing the inhabitable time of the three modes of material nature known as two parardas, Lord Brahma closes the material universe, which is covered by layers of earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, ego, etc., and goes back to Godhead.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
The yogis who become detached from the material world by practice of breathing exercises and control of the mind reach the planet of Brahma, which is far, far away. After giving up their bodies, they enter into the body of Lord Brahma. And therefore, when Brahma is liberated and goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Brahman, such yogis can also enter into the kingdom of God.
Okay. So you're going back to Brahma. He gets sucked back into Vishnu's belly button. And then everyone's together.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, my dear mother, by devotional service, take direct shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is seated in everyone's heart. Yeah.
Oh, this is a big one.
Yeah.
My dear mother, someone may worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a special self-interest, but even demigods such as Lord Brahma, great sages such as Sanat Kumara, and great Muni such as Marishi have to come back to the material world again at the time of creation. When the interaction of the three modes of material nature begins, Brahma, who is the creator of this cosmic manifestation and who is full of Vedic knowledge, and the great sages, who are the authors of the spiritual path and the yoga system, come back under the influence of the time factor. They are liberated by their non-fruitive activities, and they attain the first incarnation of the Purusha. But at the time of creation, they come back in exactly the same forms and positions as they had previously. This is like,
Okay.
oh, what's the word? Bodhisattva. No. There's like somebody there's like a word for people who will not um they will continue to reincarnate until everything is until everyone is liberated.
Someone in our comment, someone knows that. Put that in our
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Persons who are too addicted to this material world execute their prescribed duties very nicely and with great faith. They daily perform all such prescribed duties with attachment
Um,
to the fruitive result. Yeah.
Such persons, impelled by the motive passion, are full of anxieties and always aspire for sense gratification due to uncontrolled senses. They worship the forefathers and are busy day and night improving the economic condition of their family, social, or national life.
Yeah, that whole thing about full of anxiety and always aspiring for some satisfaction of the material world
Mm-hmm.
is a way that a lot of people live their life. And
Mm-hmm.
when you have faith in the divine and that you know that you don't need to even worry, that's how you kind of rid yourself of the anxiety of worrying about the sense gratification.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, our human body, we need food and shelter and the basic things that, but also
Right.
I am not this avatar. So therefore, I shouldn't get attached to all that, I think is the message.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Such persons are called trivargika because they are interested in the three elevating processes. They are averse to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can give relief to the conditioned soul. They are not interested in the Supreme Personality's pastimes, which are worth hearing because of his transcendental prowess. So it's like, nah, I'm not interested in that. I don't even care about that. No.
Yeah.
We for sure have you've for sure had the experience where something that lights you up, you tell somebody about it and they're like, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
Like, oh, you went and saw Swami. Oh, that's cool.
no questions whatsoever.
We are
Right.
all
So
God. We are all God. Okay, text 19. Such persons are condemned by the supreme order of the Lord. Because they are averse to the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are compared to stool eating hogs. They give up hearing the transcendental activities of the Lord and indulge in hearing of the abominable activities of materialistic persons.
I mean, tell us how you really feel, Lord Kapila.
Still eating hogs.
Okay. Such materialistic persons are allowed to go to the planet called Pitraloka by the southern course of the sun. But they again come back to this planet and take birth in their own families, beginning again the same fruitive activities from birth to the end of life. Wait a second. In their own family? Do you keep reincarnating into your own family? So potentially you could have been like your great great grandma.
I've heard stories of that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does say that.
Yeah. When the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they fall down by higher arrangement and again come back to this planet, just as my person raised to a high position sometimes all of a sudden falls.
Okay, side question for everyone. When you're going to the planet, before you come back down here, like what's going on up on Pitraloka? What are we doing up there? Are we learning? Are we in a class somewhere? Are we healing? Are we in a cave? Are we with our guru? What's going on the
Life
planet?
review, right?
Life review. You're like, oh man, I messed that one up. Didn't get that right. So then you're like picking your next life.
Time factor probably isn't real up there.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. You
Not
wouldn't
the
think so
same
because
anyway.
no, because I remember something Kapila was saying about like how long are you on the moon? Doesn't she ask that? Or did I read ahead? No, there was something I was listening to.
Hmm.
And he's like, it doesn't matter because time is
Oh,
it
I
ends.
remember. Yeah. I remember that.
Do you remember that? It's like, but
Yeah,
time is limited. So it doesn't matter if you're there for 1 minute or 1 billion years.
right.
Your time there is limited. Okay.
All right, text
Anyway.
22. My dear mother, I therefore advise that you take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for his lotus feet are worth worshipping. Accept this with all devotion and love, for thus you can be situated in transcendental devotional service.
Engagement in Krishna consciousness and application of devotional service unto Krishna make it possible to advance in knowledge and detachment as well as in self realization.
The exalted devotee's mind becomes equipoised in sensory activities and is transcendental to that which is agreeable and not agreeable. What we were talking about in the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Because of his transcendental intelligence, the pure devotee is equipoised in his vision and sees himself to be uncontaminated by matter. He does not see anything as superior or inferior, and he feels himself elevated to the transcendental platform of being equal in qualities with the Supreme Person.
Supreme Personality of Godhead alone is complete transcendental knowledge, but according to the different processes of understanding, he appears differently, either as impersonal Brahman, as Paramatma, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or as the Purusha Avatara.
Is it what we need? Um,
I'm sure.
is that why we get the particular?
Well, and that's why we're attracted to that particular
Okay,
avatar
yeah,
or
we need
particular energy, right? Is based on whatever is going on
right. Like
with
how
you.
we've attracted Lord Kapila right now.
Right.
Even though it just seems like, yeah, that's just where we are in the book. Actually, it's all divine timing. We're talking
Right.
about this right now because this is what we need. So,
Yeah.
therefore,
Yep.
okay. The greatest common understanding for all yogis is complete detachment from matter, which can be achieved by different kinds of yoga. We've heard this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've heard that.
Those who are averse to the transi transcendence realize the supreme right? Transcendence?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, let's start over. Those who are averse to the transcendence realize the supreme absolute truth differently through speculative sense perception, and therefore, because of mistaken speculation, everything appears to them to be relative.
From the total energy, the Mahat Tattva, I have manifested the false ego, the three modes of material nature, the five material elements, the individual consciousness, the 11 senses, and the material body. Similarly, the entire universe has come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
This perfect knowledge can be achieved by a person who is already engaged in devotional service with faith, steadiness, and full detachment, and who is always absorbed in thought of the Supreme. He is aloof from material association.
My dear respectful mother, I have already described the path of understanding the absolute truth, by which one can come to understand the real truth of matter and spirit and their relationship.
Philosophical research culminates in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After achieving this understanding, when one becomes free from the material modes of nature, he attains the stage of devotional service. Either by devotional service directly or by philosophical research, one has to find the same destination, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So either through bhakti or through jnana, right?
Right, right.
Through the path of
Interestingly,
knowledge or through the path of devotion.
which again, Swami Sarapriyananda was talking about
Mm-hmm.
when we saw him. He was saying that. And
Yeah,
he was saying like bhakti is easy in some ways, knowledge is the hard way,
right,
in some ways.
right.
Um, on the other hand, bhakti is hard in the sense of complete devotion and
Yeah,
trust. Sometimes it's hard to get to because there's always another book to read.
yeah, right,
There's always more knowledge that you can get that you can be
right,
like, I'm on the knowledge path.
right,
Where when do you run out of bhakti love? Is it
right,
the moment
right,
where you just have a weak moment and you just like hate everything? Is it when you don't
right.
love yourself? What is it?
Yeah.
Hey, okay.
Text 33.
A single object is appreciated differently by different senses due to its having different qualities. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, but according to different scriptural injunctions, he appears to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. For our benefit, likely. For our benefit, not
Right.
his benefit.
By performing fruitive activities and sacrifices, by distributing charity, by performing austerities, by studying various literatures, by conducting philosophical research, by controlling the mind, by subduing the senses, by accepting the renounced order of life, and by performing the prescribed duties of one social order, by performing the different divisions of yoga practice, by performing devotional service, and by exhibiting the process of devotional service containing the symptoms of both attachment and detachment, by understanding the science of self realization, and by developing a strong sense of detachment. One who is expert in understanding the different processes of self realization realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is represented in the material world as well as in transcendence.
Okay, there was a lot there.
A lot there.
There was a lot there. Um, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah. Yep.
My dear mother, I have explained to you the process of devotional service and its identity in four different social divisions. I have explained to you as well how eternal time is chasing the living entities, although it is imperceptible to them.
Mm.
Yeah, there's not even a now. I just heard that the other day because it's like, be here now, be in the present. But actually, there is no present. It's already gone. It's gone. It's past. Now it's already gone.
Oof.
Now it's gone again. Gone again.
Oh,
Sorry.
I don't like to think of it like that.
But like you're slightly in the
I've
future
never
in the
heard
sense
that.
you're slightly living in the future in the sense of you're on like the cutting edge of time.
Right.
You're on the leading edge. That's Abraham Hicks always talks about that. You're
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
leading edge. It's that
Yeah, yeah,
where you
yeah.
can't change what just happened. I can't take back what I just said 5 seconds ago. So, yeah, I'm in the present, but I'm creating the present every moment.
Oh. Text 38.
Next 38.
There are varieties of material existence for the living entity according to the work he performs in ignorance or forgetfulness of his real identity. There are varieties of material
Okay.
existence for the living entity according to the work he performs in ignorance or forgetfulness of his real identity.
I love that.
My dear mother, if anyone enters into that forgetfulness, he is unable to understand where his movements will end.
Very interestingly, I was listening to the autobiography of Yogananda. Okay. And he talks about his birth. He talks about his infancy and his frustration with not being able to itch his own body.
Oh, he did?
Yes, he did. He did. He talked, yes, you have to listen to it. I sent it to you. He talks about he did remember all of his lifetimes. And so therefore, he was able to understand where he was going. And he talks about his frustration and just um not being able to speak or move and not being able to get what he wants. All he could do is cry for his material needs to be met.
Hopefully
And
somebody, yeah.
right. So it's a gift for us to forget. We don't want to remember. We feel like we do, because then we'll say to ourselves, well, I would learn the lesson faster if I could just remember what I did last time. But as Yogananda explains, no, actually, you don't want to know all that. That was actually quite painful to be a baby and to have an understanding of, wait a second, I'm in a tiny body and I can't even do one single thing. I'm helpless. Where we like to think of ourselves as infants as being only somewhat self-aware, like we're goldfish or something, and we forget
Right.
every 8 seconds. So
Right.
actually, the jiva comes into the body, it embodies, and you feel it. And actually, Kapila was talking about that, the birth experience
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I heard that this week, I was like, oh, I gotta tell you that. It just came, I just saw that itch thing. Anyway, sorry. Where are we now? Text 40. Okay. Lord Kapila continued. Was that me? Is it me? Yeah. Lord Kapila continued. This instruction is not meant for the
Okay.
end.
You were like kind of pausing in and out there for a minute.
I think you were just frozen,
That
but
was that was
I think you froze in shock, actually.
well,
Actually.
you were kind of going in and out there for a second. I heard everything you said, but it was super choppy. So I don't know.
Okay, well, it may or may not have been recorded since it's recording to my computer. Who knows? You
Yeah.
may or may not get that, or it may have been cut out. What you're supposed to hear is what you'll hear. I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Lord
Okay.
Kapila continued. This instruction is not meant for the envious, for the agnostics, or for persons who are unclean in their behavior, nor is it for hypocrites or for persons who are proud of
Mm.
material possessions. No, somebody said once to us, Hinduism is not a beginner religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It is not to be instructed to persons who are too greedy and too attached to life, to family life, nor to persons who are non-devotees and who are envious of the devotees and of the personality of Godhead.
Mm. Instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity.
This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed detachment for that which is outside the pure view of Krishna consciousness.
Anyone who meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back to home, back to Godhead. And that's the end of chapter 32. Are you even listening or even wanting to read this if you're not drawn to it in some way?
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
for sure. Yeah, right.
do you know what I mean? It's like the thought of even a lot of the reason we're doing this podcast is to capture our own thoughts and our own current selves,
Yeah.
because in a hot second, it'll be the past. And we were even talking about taking notes last week, but then later I was like, well, we're making a video. So
This is the
we do see it.
notes.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're posting it on YouTube slightly to find other devotees to talk to. But
Yeah.
obviously we're playing the YouTube game, right? You play the game of it. And you try to get subscribers. We're supposed to want subscribers. But I say to myself, actually, the people that listen to us are the ones that want to listen to us, and the ones that don't, they're not even supposed to be here. So what am I why would I ever worry about the amount of subscribers?
Right.
And I don't. But at the same time, again, it's like it's distracting to get pulled into the material nature of it. Because YouTube sends you 14, emails being like, here's all the things you should do to get people to watch your video. And we're
Right.
like, well, I'm not doing it for that.
Just
Let's
want to
go to
read the
the
street. I just want to read the Srimad
I just want to read the
Bhagavatam.
Srimad Bhagavatam. You know what? Let's finish this up because chapter 33, activities of Kapila. This
Oh
is gonna,
no, are we gonna say goodbye
we're
to
gonna,
Kapila after
we
this?
are, I hope we don't say goodbye to Kapila, because it's been a joy to sit at his feet and learn. And we're gonna hear him again. Of course we will. He's gonna come up
No,
again.
I know.
Um,
All right,
but this part of it, this beautiful conversation is about to wrap up. So let's get to
we're
it.
about to put this book away. Okay.
Onto the fourth canto soon. Okay, let's go.
Chapter
Sure.
33, Activities of Kapila, Text 1. Sri Maitreya said, thus Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila and wife of Kardama Muni, became freed from all ignorance concerning devotional service and transcendental knowledge. She offered her obeisances unto the Lord, the author of the basic principles of the Sankhya system of philosophy, which is the background of liberation, and she satisfied him with the following verses of prayer.
First of
Yay!
all, I was thinking this week also about the beautiful prayers of the women in this that we've already heard. Queen Kunti's prayer, and now Devahuti's prayer. It's to the soul. It's beautiful, delicious to the soul. Devahuti said, Brahma is said to be unborn because he takes birth from the lotus flower, which grows from your abdomen while you lie in the ocean at the bottom of the universe. But even Brahma simply meditated upon you, whose body is the source of unlimited universes.
And just really quick, I was sidetracked by the purport, and this is just really beautiful. It says, I'm just going to read it because it's nice.
Yeah.
The body of Vishnu is the source of all living entities as well as material nature, which is supposed to be the energy of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devahuti said, you are the background of the material manifestation in all created energy. Therefore, you're delivering me from the clutches of Maya by explaining the system of Sakya philosophy is not so astonishing. But your being born from my abdomen is certainly wonderful, because although you are the source of all creation, you have so kindly taken birth as my child. That is most wonderful. Your body is the source of all the universe, and still you put your body within the abdomen of a common woman like me. To me, that is most astonishing.
Yeah. Wow.
Right, text 3.
Okay.
My dear Lord, although personally you have nothing to do, you have distributed your energies into the interactions of the material modes of nature, and for that reason the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation take place. My dear Lord, you are self-determined and are the supreme personality of Godhead for all living entities. For them you created this material manifestation, and although you are one, the universe and your diverse energies can act multifariously, which is inconceivable to us. It is
As this,
inconceivable.
it is inconceivable. It is. As the supreme personality of Godhead, you have taken birth from my abdomen. Oh, my Lord, how is that possible for the Supreme One who has in his belly all the cosmic manifestation? The answer is that it is possible, for at the end of the millennium, you lie down on a leaf of a banyan tree, and just like a small baby, you lick the toe of your lotus foot.
My dear Lord, you have assumed this body in order to diminish the sinful activities of the fallen and to enrich their knowledge in devotion and liberation. Since these sinful people are dependent on your direction, by your own will you assume incarnations as a boar and as other forms. Similarly, you have appeared in order to distribute transcendental knowledge to your dependents.
To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face. Even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or chants him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. Mm.
Oh, how glorious are they whose tongues are chanting your holy name. Even if born in the family of dog eaters, such persons are worshipable. Persons who chant the holy name of your lordship have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices and achieved all the good manners of the Aryans. To be chanting the holy name of your lordship, they must have bathed at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required.
Yes, we must have done something up to this point to even have this available to us.
Right,
And so do you, dear listener, dear
right,
watcher, same
right,
Z's.
right.
I believe, my Lord, that you are Lord Vishnu himself under the name of Kapila, and you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Brahman. The saints and sages, being freed from all the disturbances of the senses and mind, meditate upon you. For by your mercy, only can one become free from the clutches of the three modes of material nature. At the time of dissolution, all the Vedas are sustained in you only.
Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, satisfied by the words of his mother, towards whom he was very affectionate, replied with gravity,
The personality of God had said, my dear mother, the path of self realization, which I have already instructed to you, is very easy. You can execute this system without difficulty, and by following it, you shall very soon be liberated, even within your present body. Wow, Devahuti, let's go.
My dear mother, those who are actually transcendentalists certainly follow my instructions as I have given them to you. You may rest assured that if you traverse this path of self realization perfectly, surely you shall be freed from fearful material contamination and shall ultimately reach me. Mother, persons who are not conversant with this method of devotional service certainly cannot get out of the cycle of birth and death.
Yeah, Sri Maitreya said the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, after instructing his beloved mother, took permission from her and left his home, his mission having been fulfilled. Ah, off he goes.
As instructed by her son, Devahuti also began to practice bhakti yoga in that very ashram. She practiced samadhi in the house of Kardama Muni, which was so beautifully decorated with flowers that it was considered the flower crown of the river Saraswati.
She began to bathe 3 times daily, and thus her curling black hair gradually became gray. Due to her austerity, her body gradually became thin, and she wore old garments.
The home and household paraphernalia of Kardama, who was one of the Prajapatis, was developed in such a way, by dint of his mystic powers of austerity and yoga, that his opulence was sometimes envied by those who traveled in outer space in airplanes.
Wow. Let me just back up to say that I want to have my life be like where I'm just bathing 3 times daily. My hair is just turning white and I'm just getting thin and wearing old clothes because who cares? Because just sitting in the Himalayas and doing bhakti yoga. Okay.
Yeah.
The opulence of the household of Kardama Muni is described herein. The bed sheets and mattresses were all as white as the foam of milk. The chairs and benches were made of ivory and were covered by cloths of lace with golden filigree, and the couches were made of gold and had very soft pillows.
The walls of the house were made of first-class marble, decorated with valuable jewels. There was no need of light, for the household was illuminated by the rays of these jewels. The female members of the household were all amply decorated with jewelry.
The compound of the main household was surrounded by beautiful gardens with sweet, fragrant flowers and many trees which produced fresh fruit and were tall and beautiful. The attraction of such gardens was that singing birds would sit on the trees, and their chanting voices, as well as the humming sound of the bees, made the whole atmosphere as pleasing as possible.
When Devahuti would enter that lovely garden to take her bath in the pond filled with lotus flowers, the associates of the denizens of heaven, the Gandharvas, would sing about Kardama's glorious household life. Her great husband, Kardama, gave her all protection at all times.
Although her position was unique from all points of view, saintly Devahuti, in spite of all her possessions, which were envied even by the ladies of the heavenly planets, gave up all such comforts. She was only sorry that her great son was separated from her. Yeah,
Devahuti's husband had already left home and accepted
right.
the renounced order of life, and then her only son, Kapila, left home. Although she knew all the truths of life and death, and although her heart was cleansed of all dirt, she was very aggrieved at the loss of her son, just as a cow is affected when her calf dies.
Mm. Oh, Vidura, thus always meditating upon her son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Deva, she very soon became unattached to her nicely decorated home.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Thereafter, having heard with great eagerness and in all detail from her son, Kapila Dev, the eternally smiling personality of Godhead, Devahuti began to meditate constantly upon the Vishnu form of the Supreme Lord.
She did so with serious engagement in devotional service because she was strong in renunciation. She accepted only the necessities of the body. She became situated in knowledge due to realization of the absolute truth. Her heart became purified. She became fully absorbed in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all misgivings due to the modes of material nature disappeared.
Her mind became completely engaged in the Supreme Lord, and she automatically realized the knowledge of the impersonal Brahman. Again, that's what Swami Sarvapriyananda was
He
talking
did.
about.
He was. He
About
was.
that automatic realization of the impersonal Brahman.
Yeah.
And as Brahman realized soul, she was freed from the designations of the materialistic concept of life. Thus, all material pangs disappeared, and she attained transcendental bliss.
Wow. Situated in eternal, sorry, start over. Text 27. Situated in eternal trance and freed from illusion, impelled by the modes of material nature, she forgot her material body just as one forgets his
Mhm.
different bodies in a dream.
Her body was being taken care of by the spiritual damsels created by her husband Kardama, and since she had no mental anxiety at that time, her body did not become thin. She appeared just like a fire surrounded by smoke.
Because she was always absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she was not aware that her hair was sometimes loosened or her garments were disarrayed.
My dear Vidura, by following the principles instructed by Kapila, Devahuti soon became liberated from material bondage, and she achieved the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Supersoul without difficulty.
The place where Devahuti achieved her perfection, my dear Vidura, is understood to be a most sacred spot. It is known all over the three worlds as Siddhapada.
Let's go. Let's go. Where in real time is this spot?
Yeah, where's that?
Somebody let us know. I'm sure we can find that. Dear Vidura, the material elements of her body have melted into water and are now a flowing river, which is the most sacred of all rivers. Anyone who bathes in that river also attains perfection, and therefore all persons who desire perfection go bathe there.
My dear Vidura, the great sage Kapila, the personality of Godhead, left his father's hermitage with the permission of his mother and went towards the northeast.
While he was passing in the northern direction, all the celestial denizens known as Karanas and Gandharvas, as well as the Munis and the damsels of the heavenly planets, prayed and offered him all respects. The ocean offered him oblations and a place of residence.
Even now, Kapila Muni is staying there in trance for the deliverance of the conditioned souls of the three worlds. Wow. Let me just say that again. Even now, Kapila Muni is staying there in trance for the deliverance of the conditioned souls in the three worlds. And all the acharyas, or great teachers of the system of Sankhya philosophy, are worshiping him. Wow. Okay.
My dear son, since you have inquired from me, I have answered. O sinless one, the descriptions of Kapila Dev and his mother and their activities are the purest of all pure discourses. Yes, they are. Oh,
Last text, 37. The description of the dealings of Kapila Dev and his mother is very confidential, and anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is carried by Garuda, and he therefore enters into the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Yes. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So Devahuti's off to Vishnu, and Kapila is sitting somewhere meditating for all of our liberation. Did I catch that right? Wow. That was incredible. And I feel like here's the scene with Garuda and Vishnu right on the back.
yeah.
That's how it ends. Wow. Hi. I feel so different. When we finished Canto 1 and Canto 2, it was so much information. It was like, wow, like creation and all these things we're hearing about, but there's something special about the third canto. And I know we haven't read the rest of it, but this is beautiful. This is, again, I started out saying it, deliciousness to the soul. I end saying it as well. Thank you. Thank you, Krishna, for this beautiful, delicious meal that we just consumed. So grateful. Yes, there we
So
are.
good. So
There we are,
good.
sitting at the feet.
Just staring at this.
Hi. Well,
So good.
I'm excited to see what the fourth canto is, but I really just want to sit in this one a little bit and just be grateful for everything we've learned.
So good. So good.
So good.
I don't know why I'm whispering.
It's almost that
So
sacred. It's
good.
like a sacredness to it. You know what I mean? There's like a sacred nature to being that quiet whisper of the soul that says, this is it. This is right. This is true. This is resonating. You know, it's a different feeling than when you're jumping up and loud and, yelling in joy. It's a different, more centered, more grounded take on it, Shay. So actually you did exactly what you wanted to do. It was be a little more grounded and centered. So thank you, Kapila, Muni. Forever grateful.
Vila said it all. There's no more words.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to say.
And with that, we're going to wrap this episode up. Thank you, dear listener. Love and healing and blessings to you. Thank you for being on this little journey that we're on in this life. And Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next time.